Morning guys, Tuesday morning here, and we're going to cut these fenders in for the Duramax, get them prepped up so that I can get them painted and on the truck. So all I have to do is fix the little bit of body work on the exterior of them from their swim over from Taiwan or wherever they came from, and here we go. So I only have one body man stand and that fender's on it. So I used my biggest, cleanest trash can here and covered it with a board and masking paper. And what I'm going to do first of all is, let's go over here. We're going to take the pump sprayer with a wax and grease remover in it and some wipe balls, and we're going to clean the inside of this thing up, which of course I wasn't prepared. I don't have the wipe balls out here. So that's the first thing we're going to do. I know I talked yesterday about, I'll put you guys on the stand. I talked about Scotch-Brighting them with some Scuffy gel or Comet or something like that. I think I'm going to skip that because I don't want to get water in these and then have to fight getting them dried out. I should have done it 4 days ago, but it's so cold in the shop at night that there's just no way that this would have dried out inside. So that's what we're going to start doing here. I'm going to go, I think I'm going to grab a pair of gloves too. And another thing I'm going to do before I start to scuff on that is I'm going to take the air hose and the blow gun and blow them off real quick, just to make sure there's not a bunch of dirt down in them, because that's the last thing you want when you start painting, is to get in there and find out there's a bunch of dust in there because they've been sitting around, because that'll blow right back in your face and all over your new fresh paint. So I got my little cheapy pocket blow gun here. This is a Harbor Freight special, like $3. I carry one in my pocket all the time. I got a couple of them. I know some guys take a couple of a male plug coupler and put another one piggyback to it, and then all you have to do is plug it in and blow with it. But I just happened to come across these before I saw people doing that. I thought that's a pretty cool idea too. Simple, you know. So we're going to blow it out. Sorry about that noise. I was blowing the other one sitting on the stand, getting it clean too. Might as well do them both at once. But for illustration purposes, we're only going to do one, because the other one will be the same. Some people spray this stuff right on the panel. With a panel like this that has all the different contours, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to actually soak a white ball with wax and grease remover and then follow it with a dry one to pick up any dirt and debris that this might have loosened up. This kind of stuff is really bitchy little stuff to do, but I mean it's important there to rip a piece off of that. Or, you know, there's sharp edges and stuff. That's the other reason I put the gloves on, because all the spot welds on here are going to grab for your hands, and they're going to grab your white balls and everything else. So it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt, but it's a must do. You got to get this stuff cleaned off and scuffed up, and then we'll have to wipe it off again. And I'm out of glass cleaner. My spray weight, my favorite. That would be my final wipe probably after I scuff this bad boy down. But we just don't want any contaminants on here, you know, any silicones or wax. Obviously there's not going to be any wax on it, but there might be greasy handprints on it and things like that. And we just want to make sure that we can get as much of that removed as possible. For a repop fender here, you know, aftermarket, they don't look too bad, other than a couple of doinks I found in them, but we already talked about that, and I think I got that out of my system already. I already know I'm repairing them, so it's hard to get these shipped to you without them having something wrong with them. But at the price, they're not too bad. We saw these were laying out while I was actually spraying the hood on the truck. The overspray didn't stick to these at all. It landed on them, but they're not even remotely rough. So that's always good. And you kind of want to go down, I don't know if you guys can see this, kind of far away. You kind of want to get down in these areas because you're going to scuff in there a little bit and try and get some color in there, just a little bit. I mean, if it's dry spray, it is what it is, as long as it's red, you know, to match the truck. Same thing down in those holes, and we're going to try and scuff a little bit in there just so it doesn't flake right back off. Some guys do this, some guys don't. Some guys just cut them in around the edges, but that's kind of the way I do it. So, you know, sort of to each their own. And the reason I'm showing you this one that I made on, or put on my trash barrel here, you know, a lot of you guys at home don't have body man stands. They're not too expensive. I mean, you can always pick them up for sure. But, you know, a lot of people don't have that stuff. And, you know, I think everybody's got a garbage can and a piece of scrap wood laying around. So you can always put some paper over that and have at it. You can already see little pieces of my towel getting torn off, trying to wipe this thing down, and it's going to be even more fun with Scotch Brite. So one thing I will do is I will definitely blow this thing off another go round for sure. Very sharp protrusions on those spot wells. good thing to do before you go to paint one of these is try and fit it up on the truck first to make sure it has a pretty decent fit. I'm fairly, I don't want to say 100% confident, but I'm at least 80% confident that this one will be just fine for what we're doing here. And a lot of times you gotta, once you get them in place and get your gaps halfway decent, you gotta tweak them anyway. I don't care who makes the fender, they don't all fit perfect. Alright, now while I'm waiting for that to sort of dry off, it's mostly dry, I want to show you the products we're going to use today. The first product here is going to be, after we scuff it, we're going to put this sealer on it. It's that brand. It's a 2K product. I don't care what brand you use, but probably should put some sealer on it over that E-coat that they put on those things. And the next thing we got over here, there's my Matrix base coat. That's I can't talk this morning. Matrix Premium Base, and there's the 870 reducer that we're going to use because I can usually only keep it about 70 to 75 degrees in here, so that's a good choice for that. And then we have the MS30 Clear. We're just going to put one coat on the inside of that just to gloss it up a little bit, and that's the 006 hardener, which is a little slow, but I think we'll be okay. It just happened to be what I grabbed. I wanted to try it out to see if it would let that clear flow a little better, and it does. Works just fine. So as long as you don't get too carried away pounding it on there, you'll be good. So we'll do a quick scuffing on this, and we'll make that probably part one of the video. I've been hitting you guys with these long videos lately, so let's try and make one that's probably half an hour or shorter. You got a red scuffy pad. This is around a 320 grit scratch, and that's what we're going to want for this. The way I like to do them is I like to go around all the really difficult places to scuff first. So I make sure that I get all that covered, and then I tend to do the more flat, easier to get to places. You want to get up against these edges where different things are welded on, because you've got basically a different level or height of metal there. So just running it over the two of them simultaneously will not get a scratch in there. You know, kind of divide and conquer, do this section by section. This is the preparation stage, and it's the most important. It is the inside of the fender, so if something does happen to it, it's not going to be noticed as quickly as it would on the outside. And if we do sand through this in anywhere, I will squirt some etch primer on it and seal it up. I shouldn't sand through it with a Scotch-Brite, but sometimes on an edge you'll get a little booger of their primer, their E-coat, and you'll try and sort of sand it off because it sands pretty easy. And using the Scotch-Brite, sometimes you will rub it through it, not always. Now on the exterior side of this fender, I wouldn't do the Scotch-Brite method. I would probably take a sheet of 320 or 400 and lightly go over the outside, and then take my Scotch-Brite to get in areas that I couldn't get to. Just because it's faster, and the base coat for sealer is going to like that 320 scratch. Not that the Scotch-Brite way isn't acceptable, actually it's perfectly acceptable. But I already know that I got to body work the outside of these fenders, and I'm going to have to spot prime them and then seal them up. So that's why I suggest kind of using the DA on the outside of them. It'll probably take me a half an hour to scuff the inside of this and do it nice. So you kind of see what's going on here. I started with these little bitchy areas in here, as Ruben would call them. I kind of like that. Get all these little areas scuffed real nice. I am going to stick my hand in this opening and sort of scuff around a little bit, just so whatever paint gets in there will have a better chance of sticking to it. Again, it's not the end of the world. You take a original equipment fender off of a new car, and usually you can see the gray E coat in there. So that's that. You know, it's not a perfect situation, but we're at 17 minutes here. You know, you see how this is going. We're using the red Scotch pad there, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to do the sealer part of this. So hope you enjoyed that little tidbit, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.